What's up everyone, Lewis here, and I'm here to help you feel more confident in the gym. I'm here to give you as much knowledge as I possibly can to stop you feeling like a bit of a tit when you're doing an exercise incorrectly. In this video, what I'm going to do is run through 4 of my favorite exercises for your shoulders and teach you how to do them correctly. This is something that has gone extremely well on Instagram, but what I wanted to do was give you a bit more of a breakdown and more information in these videos in a longer form style content. So if you're looking to tone up your shoulders so you feel more confident in your strappy dresses and strappy tops, then make sure you watch this video and we'll dive into it. So what we're going to do for the first exercise is we're going to run through some lateral raises. Now, when it comes to shoulder training, a lot of people will prioritize their shoulder presses, which is pressing directly above the head. Now, this is a good exercise, but it tends to target more of the front of the delt, which already gets a lot of work during any pressing movement. What tends to not get as much work is the outer head of the shoulder, and that's the area that's going to give you that real shape to your shoulders and give you more of that V taper sort of thing. So what we're going to do is start with a lateral raise variation. So when it comes to setting up the cable lateral raise, what we want to make sure is that the height is adjusted so it's in line with your fist at the bottom of the movement. From here, what we want to do is step out slightly just so the weights aren't touching at the bottom of the rack, because we don't want to keep touching every time we come down to the bottom. From here, keep yourself nice and stable against the machine, and we're going to push the knuckles across the floor and up against the wall. Now, what a lot of people get wrong in lateral raises is they think about moving up towards the ceiling, which ends up overworking the traps. What we're trying to do is really isolate that delt. So think about driving your knuckles across the floor, up the walls into that top position, and then slowly resist on the way back down. What you don't want to happen is let the cable machine pull you back in. We want to control the entire movement through the entire range of the motion. Now, the reason I prefer lateral raises on the cable machine compared to dumbbells is with dumbbells, there's no tension at the bottom point from here to here. It doesn't kick in until you're a little bit higher. With the cable variation, we have tension in the muscles all the way through the movement. Now, 2 mistakes you want to avoid on this exercise is firstly, using momentum with your hips and your body to push out during the exercise. We don't want to see any ego lift in here, so make sure that you can control the weight all the way through the movement as you come up and down. Another thing I see people doing is coming in too close. Here, my shoulder is relaxing, like I can stand here all day, it's not taxing on my muscle. What we want to do is only go to a point where the shoulder is still under engagement and the muscles are still firing. So from here, we now have constant tension rather than resting at the bottom against the body. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to run through the dumbbell shoulder press. So for any of you that are wanting to work on the front of your shoulders, this is going to be one of the best exercises that you can do for this. Now, when it comes to the setup, what we want to do is look at the angle that the bench is going to be in. I see a lot of people getting shoulder injuries because they set the bench up too high and press outside of their range of movement. So what we're going to do is work out the ideal angle for you to be able to set the bench up in to get the best out of the exercise. So to do that, we need to find out your shoulder mobility. What you're going to do is sit on the end of the bench, keep your ribs compressed down in this manner. From here, with your arms straight, thumbs facing up, what I want you to do is reach out and around as high as you can without bending the elbows or arching the back, okay? If we get to that point, then we've gone too far. So what we need to do, keep that core nice and braced. You're going to reach forward, up nice and high to the point you can get to while maintaining those ribs down and straight arms. So for me, that's as high as I can go. So what I need to do is set the bench up to accompany that, which right now, that's the perfect position. As you can see, my fist is now directly above my shoulder. Again, if I'm to set it up any higher than this, while this is my mobility, I'm gonna end up either overarching or going outside my range of mobility. So what you wanna do is find out that, adjust the bench, and then you're good to go for the shoulder press itself. So when it comes to the actual movement, what I'm going to get you to do is not what most people teach you. Most people get you to try and shoulder press with flared elbows out to the side here. Now, the only issue with this is I see a lot of people injuring themselves because they come so far back during the movement and you limit the range of movement you can get. This is as deep as I can go with my elbows flared out to the side. As soon as I bring my elbows in, I'm in more of a neutral grip and I can get a better stretch through the front of my shoulder. Then from here, what I want you to do, push your feet into the floor to make sure you've got nice and good stability. And then we're going to drive up to that top position and make sure that your fists are directly above your shoulders. We don't want to be pushing in front or too far back behind you, okay? Then from here, what we want to make sure is that we're keeping it nice and controlled on the way down. We don't want to bounce the movement up and down because this isn't any control on the muscles.
We want to make sure that we count to about 3 seconds on the way down, and then drive up nice and strong. Now, when you start getting stronger in this movement, what you're going to find is it's going to be quite difficult getting the dumbbells up into position. So if you are someone struggling with that, what you want to do is place the dumbbells on the end of your knee. What you're going to do is pop one side up, hold it, pop the other side up, and then drive up into position. This is going to be the easiest way to get up there. The next exercise we're going to do is some cable upright rows. All you're going to need is a straight bar just like this for the attachment, and then we're going to set the machine up to the bottom. Now, the cable upright rows get a bit of a bad press. A lot of people say that it's going to cause injury to your shoulder, but it's not likely to cause you any injury more than any other exercise as long as you perform it correctly. And in fact, it's a great exercise for, again, targeting that outer head of the shoulder. So if you are a woman that's looking to get that shoulders that are more toned in a dress and a strappy top and have more of a tapered waist, this is a great exercise for that. So when it comes to the setup for this exercise, what we want to make sure is we're taking a grip very slightly inside shoulder width, okay? Then from here, we want to make sure that we're stood directly over the cables. We don't want to be stood back away from the machine. Otherwise, as we pull up, we're going to end up using more of our traps and we're missing out the bottom part of the movement. As soon as we stand directly above the machine and the cable, we're able to keep continuous tension in the delts where we're trying to target. So some common mistakes I see people making during this is they pull the weight up towards the ceiling. Now, if you think about pulling the weight up, you're going to end up using a lot of your traps rather than your delts. So what I need you to think about is that you're pushing your elbows up past your shoulders towards the ceiling. Then from here, slowly resisting the weight on the way down. Once we start driving through the elbows up towards the ceiling, what we tend to do is put all that tension into the delt, which is where exactly we want to target. Another mistake I see people making is pulling up too high. As you can see, as soon as I get past a certain point, my wrists start to bend and I take that tension off my delts. What I want you to do is just think about pushing the elbows up as high as you can. As soon as that stops, that's enough height, that's all that tension in my shoulders. Then on the way down, slowly resist the weight. We don't want to allow it to drop down, okay? We want to make sure that we're controlling the entire movement. So pushing the elbows up towards the ceiling, get a good pause, slowly release all the way down to the bottom, make sure we're no resting there, and then back up towards that top point. And then the final exercise we're going to do is to target the rear delts. So again, this is an area that often gets neglected of the shoulders because of so many pressing exercises targeting the front. The back tends to get neglected. So what we're going to do is go through a great exercise that's going to help to target that area and give a bit more of a fullness look to the shoulders itself. What we're going to do is some overhand rows. Now this exercise is going to be a variation of like a single arm row, but it's not going to target the lat so much, but it's going to hit that rear delt. What we're going to need is just a single dumbbell, and then we're also just going to need a bench set up on an angle. The reason we've got the bench on the angle is what we're going to do is use it for support during the exercise. We're going to come into this staggered stance position, front leg bent, back leg semi-straight, and we're going to be holding from here to perform the exercise. So what we're going to do is, as we're in this position, I want you to let the shoulder blade fully fall out at the bottom, okay? So we get that nice big stretch in the shoulders. From here, I want you pushing the elbow out towards the side and around the ribs, okay? Don't think about pulling in towards you, otherwise we're gonna over-engage that bicep. What we need to do is think about driving the elbow out and around towards the top, get a good squeeze, and then a slow stretch all the way down through the bottom. Drive back up through that elbow, get a good squeeze, and then slowly release down to the bottom. Make sure there's no momentum or bouncing during the exercise. We want to keep it nice and controlled and ensure we get that full range of movement.
And there you have it. There's 4 of my favorite exercises for targeting your shoulders. Obviously, we've got 1 targeting the front of the shoulder, being the overhead shoulder press. 2 of exercises are targeting the lateral head of your shoulders, the cable lateral raises, and the upright row. And then finally there, we've got that rear delt row, which is going to be targeting the back of those shoulders. Now, you don't need to have all these exercises in one workout. You can spread them across the week, however it is that you like. But I promise if you start adding these to your routine, you'll see a great difference in your shoulders and start to see some real definition and tone coming into there. And if you like this video, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on the next 4 exercises that I'm going to run through with you.